Weird News Weekly with Ben and Reed.
Reed, I'd like to introduce you to a lady by the name of Nicole Popick. Now, she's from Clarksburg in California, and she's been having a little bit of trouble with her teenage daughter getting her to school on time in the mornings. Now, what's going on here is her daughter likes to sleep in a little bit, is a bit, lippy when she's told to get out of bed, kind of talks back to her mum a fair bit and says, no, don't want to go, you can get stuffed, get out of my room right now, I'm sleeping, go away. So her mother's trying to, get her to school on time every day, and it's been one of those particular days where this has happened. She's struggled getting her daughter out of bed, she's finally got her dressed and ready for school, and they're going to school, but they realise they're going to be running late. Now, when you're running late in the US, and I'm sure many other countries as far as school is concerned, I'm pretty sure even Australia, you have to have a tardiness note, as they call them in the US, to avoid getting a detention. So you have to have a legitimate reason as to why you weren't at school on time, so you can show the administrators at the front desk and they'll go, sure, we'll stamp you in for the day, no questions asked. Now, this young girl has asked her mum to write her a tardiness note, but considering the mum is, not too happy with what her daughter has been doing about, not getting up in the mornings, back talking to her mum and all that kind of stuff, she's decided to be a little bit funny with this whole tardiness note situation. Now, Reed, when you think about stuff like this, there's been things like this in the past. What kind of stuff kind of rings a bell for you that you've seen before?
Oh, gee, there's been a few of these, hasn't there? But
Yeah.
especially over in America, they're sort of famous for this sort of stuff. So maybe sort of having a go at the daughter, I reckon. Am I in that sort of ballpark area?
Yeah, pretty much. The letter reads as follows. To whom it may concern, Cara is tardy this morning as a result of a condition known as teenageism. Adolescents across our great nation are afflicted and there is no known cure. Symptoms are multitudinous, but this particular morning she suffered from an inability to remove herself from her bed and also felt the need to talk back to her birth giver. I love that term, birth giver. That's so good. She seems to be recovering her senses after watching her cell phone fly out the car window. Please call me if there is another flare-up. Thank you, Nicole Popick.
Oh, that is brilliant parenting.
So this is what happens when you're back-talking your mum and you demand that she writes you a tardiness note. She writes you a note, you fold it up, and you give it to your daughter, and then your daughter takes it in to the administrator and goes, "Ooh, okay, I think this note's more for you than it is for me."
Passive aggressiveness at its best.
Now, there is no record here of if she got out of a potential detention or anything like that. Do you reckon with a note like this she would have been successful, or do you reckon she still would have got the detention here?
I reckon. Will the school have had a bit of a laugh at this? Probably not. I reckon she would have got the detention anyway.
I reckon she would have got the detention too, considering the nature of the letter itself saying, yeah, she was just late because she wouldn't get out of bed because she was a lazy shit. Then, yeah, the school's going to go, okay, we've been given the reason, and the reason isn't a good one. Detention.
Which is fair enough. I mean, I reckon I would not have been able to pull this stunt back in my day.
Yeah.
The main reason why, I lived opposite my primary school, and my high school was a 1-minute walk. All right, so I lived opposite my primary school. My high school, growing up, I had a junior campus, which was 1-minute walk to the right of my house and a 1-minute walk to the left of my house. So I would not have been able to pull that sort of stunt back in my day. But I always slept in 5-10 minutes before school time. Mm-hmm. So pushing the boundaries quite close. So I guess
if you can sleep in that long and just kind of roll out of bed and put your school clothes on and just be like, bye, Mum, and then just walk out the front door and go over the road, then yeah, I guess you're all set. But for the kids who are having to bike it and walk it a long distance to school to actually get there, they don't necessarily have that luxury, unfortunately, that you have.
Stuck on that, kid.
But as far as excuses or anything like that you've used to try and get out of school for the day, what are some of the things that you've tried to pull in the past?
Oh, I was quite lucky, obviously, as I said, I did grow up opposite my primary school, so usually for lunch I would just spend, instead of going to like lunchtime, if you didn't wear your hat and you couldn't go outside, I just went home. I didn't bother going into detention. I just went home. So that's what I usually did. Just go home. Spend most of my time at home not meant to be at school because I was only a 1 minute walk. But
Yeah.
what about you? Did you pull any excuse back in the day?
I think there was just the usual ones where you get up and you just be like, Mum, I'm not feeling well. My stomach's just feeling really weird. And I think I got away with it like literally once. And that was about it because my mum was onto it like crazy. She knew what was going on every single time.
I think I used to pull that stunt as well. But on the days when I was actually sick, I would say to my mum, I'm not feeling well. And, I was actually unwell.
Yeah.
Mum would always say, you're not sick. You're going to school. Come on, off you get. Go off to school. You're going to school. You're not staying home. Off you go. I thought, all right.
But what about those days? Because from memory, you've told me a story once before where you like to stay up quite late at night playing PlayStation and no one actually knew.
Oh, yeah. That was quite a habit in my day. Always.
So how did you go getting to school after those long nights on the PlayStation?
Often it was quite a struggle, but usually it depended on what the first subject was. So usually at school, the first subject was a bit of a snore fest. So it was usually maths or some boring English class, and I was able to sort of not really pay that much attention. Mm-hmm. And I was able to sort of not really sleep, but sort of just have one arm on the head and just one arm looking down, one eye sort of asleep, and just half pay attention. Yeah,
did the head ever slip off the hand and just kind of go, oh, yep, I'm awake?
I sort of did that once, and the student next to me sort of made a bit of a movement to say, hey, you're almost falling asleep, pal. Wake up. I didn't know who the guy was, but I'm glad he did it.
Now, as far as this situation is concerned, though, with Nicole Popick and her daughter Cara, she said here she doesn't want to give anyone the false impression that Cara is a bad kid. She's very proud of her and loves being her mum. She was just having a bad morning on that particular morning. So it seems like she has some bad mornings kind of more often than not in this situation. But apart from the mornings, maybe she's just not a morning person. Every other time of the day, she's like the most charming little girl you've ever known in your life. But
you see, I've always wanted to sort of change that whole thing of not a morning person. Well, if you're not a morning person, then fine. Let's change the whole school dynamic. Let's have school at like 1 p.m. and make it go through to like 7 p.m. so that way you can get around the whole not a morning person routine.
I used to be a morning person. I used to get up in the morning and just have a spring in my step and just be like, yep, woo, ready to go for the day. Let's get this thing happening. Where's the Milo? Yay. But the funny thing is, and it's a really weird kind of situation here, but once you go from being single to being in a relationship, I feel like anyone who's a morning person, they lose that sense of being a morning person straight away. Because when you're kind of, in bed with your partner and you've been asleep the whole night and your alarm goes off in the morning and you tap the snooze button and then you roll over and you just cuddle into your partner, like that's like some of the best snoozes you'll ever have in your life. And it's really hard to get up from those. So I feel like ever since that's happened, I'm not a morning person anymore.
Well, I'm a bit of a morning person, so it sort of evens out our friendship, I guess. So you're the one that stays in bed a little bit longer. I'm not anymore, so yeah.
But as far as this story is concerned, if you would like to give us your thoughts on this whole situation, you can leave us a voicemail, a 90-second voicemail via our Tumblr page or via the SpeakPipe app as well. Just get the SpeakPipe app on your smartphone, type in Weird News Weekly and send that voicemail our way. You'll find details about this story at Weird News Weekly on Twitter and weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to rate and review the show on iTunes and follow on Twitter and Tumblr for more details on the covered stories. Just search Weird News Weekly. You can also be part of the show and give us your opinions on a story by sending a voicemail via the SpeakPipe app, or just click the voicemail link on the Tumblr page. Spoken by Sarah D and sped up like this because we like the way it sounds on the government ads.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles.